Good morning, hello, and welcome to our Friday teaming with Armakuni. This is episode number 6. So I am your host this week. My name's Ben, and today I am joined by Mark. Say hello, Mark.
Hello.
So this week's theme is Test Commit Revert. Test Commit Revert, we call it TCR, is a hardcore development technique where if the tests fail, all of your changes are wiped and we have to start over. So what does that actually look like? Let me share my screen over here. So it's a bit of it looks like a complicated command, but it's actually not. So there's three parts to it. So the first is the test. And we're using Python today, specifically poetry. So we're going to run our PyTest using poetry. And then if that succeeds, then you can see we've got the and git commit. And we just give it a whip message. And if those two commands fail for whatever reason, you see here we've got the or, and the or there is doing a hard reset back to our head. So what this is going to do, and we're releasing it to TCR, so we can just quite easily just type in TCR into the command line. And so what this does is it will run the test, and if it succeeds, then it will git commit it. If the test fails, obviously this whole thing will be false or return a non-zero exit code, which means the or part will run, and that will git reset our all of our changes. Mark, would you like to introduce the kata that we are working on today?
Yes, sure. So the kata we are working on today is the RPG Combat Kata. We are going to follow the rules set out on the Saman coaching description, because it breaks down the requirements really nicely. But generally, the kata is simple combat rules for a role-play game. The character should be able to gain experience and level up. They should be able to damage and heal each other. And they should be able to join and leave factions. There's a few more requirements, but we'll go through them as we kind of go through the kata. So should we get started?
Yeah.
Okay. I said, because there's just two of us, should we just kind of not use a timer, or should we use a timer?
I think it's probably going to be a bit too much context switching if we use a timer.
Okay.
So I think let's just standard pair program this.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right, so here we've got our first test. Test something, assert true.
Yep.
What's the first requirement of the kata?
So the first requirement is all characters, when created, should have a health starting at 1,000.
So our first test here is going to be something like def character starts with 1,000 HP.
Yep.
So how do we want to, what do we want to do here?
So we're probably going to want some kind of a character object. And I'm just trying to think. I mean, at the moment, I would say single function, something like get HP, and it should equal 1,000. Let's keep it like
so given I mean, we can do that, but given that we're doing TCR, I can see that failing in a spectacular fashion. So maybe our first test should actually be something much simpler than that. But I'm with you. maybe let's illustrate the effects of what happens when you try to do too much with TCR.
Yeah.
Right. So here, what we're going to say, character equals character, right?
Yeah.
Where's our character coming from?
We have character file, I think.
So maybe we'll do something like from character import character.
Yep.
Okay. And then what are we doing? What are we asserting?
So assert get HP, or could you say get health?
So yeah, it's going to be a function, a method like that on it.
I think so. And then equals 1,000.
All right. So
we can't run that test.
Exactly.
We'll wipe everything out.
Yeah. So if we're doing proper TDD, we would obviously run this test and watch it fail.
Yeah.
Now, because we're doing TCR, if we do that, we're going to lose this test, which means we're never going to make any progress. So we're going to have to break the rule a little bit. We're going to have to start implementing it straight away. So I've just split my screen in half over here. Right, so here in our character file, we want to say class character.
Yep.
So I've got def get HP function, and then this should return 1,000. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. You ready?
Go for it.
Let's do it.
Oh no.
Okay. So we've no, that was a fail. So
it was a fail.
So we've got no module named character over here.
Okay.
Now I have a feeling it's because we've put it into an SRC subdirectory.
Okay.
So maybe if we drag this out and then just leave it at the root, we'll be we should be in a better position. Okay. So how about let's do, because we've wiped all our changes, maybe let's start with the smallest possible thing. So this failed because we got no module name character. So maybe let's just say import from character import character here, right? And I'm just going to run this and see if it works. Okay, that's still failing.
Yeah, it is.
I think typically this is because of a like if you run PyTest just on its own without Python M, it doesn't automatically pick up what's in the current folder.
Okay.
This is a weird Python thing. So I'm just gonna, because I think if you run it like this, sorry, let's do poetry run Python M PyTest. It's a bit of an annoying command. Yeah, and then let's try import character. Yeah, so I'm just going to change my alias to instead of doing poetry run PyTest, I'm going to do Python -m PyTest like that. I think that's the issue here. Oh goodness, what have I done? Okay. So let me try that. Yep, all good. Okay.
Okay.
Weird Python stuff. Right. So import characters. We can import that module. So maybe say from character import the character class, right?
Yep.
And now we need to create our class. So let's just do a class character, nothing else.
Yeah.
All right, we're still good. This really forces you into making literally the smallest possible increments of step, because you know that your changes are going to be wiped if you take steps that are too big.
Yeah, because my suggestion actually was to even take it further than you've taken it and actually just run the test at the point you've instantiated the character class.
Exactly.
So like you've taken I think like 2 steps before I have. So yeah, this does definitely force you to to
Right?
really think about it, small, like the tiniest steps.
Exactly, the tiniest steps.
Yeah.
But the good thing is that because it's being committed at every single step of the way, you've got your full history of changes to go back to, which you could argue it might clutter up your history. But if you're working on a branch, and you can always do a squash, right?
Yeah.
Just squash it all together.
Yeah.
Right. So what's our first test? I think that our first test should actually now be like, can we create a character? Right. Test instantiate character, right? Just something super basic, because I don't want to lose. Right. So I'll just say character equals character, right? So can we do that? PCR. Here we go. Okay, we're still good. Right. So
can I ask on that one? So like usually that wouldn't be a test, if that makes sense. And because we're doing TCR, like we've made that a test that we can, you know, so we're taking those tiny steps.
Yeah.
Would a better approach be like, do you know how like if you're taking Uncle Bob's strict rules of TDD, where you stop writing any test code when there would be a failure. So the fact that, you know, the character class doesn't exist, go away and character class stuff. Should we be doing that? So we might write the test that we originally wrote, but we step through and we run every line kind of thing. Would that be so that basically your final thing is you just add a function that returns 1,000 sort of thing? It's just,
do you mean like taking this test and then just mutating it as we go through? Yeah.
Okay.
So something like this. So rather than doing test, so now I'll just say, right, instead of doing that, then let's say test character starts with 1,000 HP, right? And so like it's still TCR, but like the revert point will bring us back to something that's not too far away, right? So now here we just say assert character dot get HP is 1,000, right? Okay, so here we go. So def get HP return 1,000. Deep breath. Oh, we're good. Okay.
Awesome.
I don't know why my indentation defaults to 2 spaces in new files. I'm just gonna change this back to 4. There we go. Okay. All right.
Do you want another requirement?
So what's the next test?
So going back to requirements, characters can be dead or alive. And obviously, because they've got health points, a character should start off being alive.
So what does that mean in practice? Like, is that just a state that we give the character, as in like not memory state, but like an enumeration state?
Could be. We could just check.
Like would the interface for that be like character
alive? Yeah.
Or character dot is alive maybe, and that's a Boolean, or like how do we want to?
Let's start with I think saying like is alive. Let's start with that for now and return a Boolean. That seems like a. Or are you thinking like get state?
Yeah, something like that, like get state, and then that can be an enumeration, which is either like alive, dead,
hang on a second,
ghost, baby. I like that feels more extensible.
Sorry about that. Joys of summer holidays.
No worries.
Dead, alive, ghost. Yeah. Let's go with
something like
enumeration. Yeah, I like that.
Okay. So def. So the test here we want to do is def test character starts with alive state.
Yep.
Okay. So it's a character equals character. Now we're getting to a point where we can probably start refactoring actually. Character dot get date equals, right. So what is this going to look like? Is this going to be a string? Like, so we're going to do like this, or we're going to create in like a new enumeration for it.
I think an enumeration rather than string. Just it's a bit nicer.
Okay, and what's our enumeration going to be called, right? Because it has to look something like, let's say character state dot alive.
Yeah.
Or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm trying to think. Yeah, that looks quite nice, I think.
Let me just turn off the sidebar over here. Okay. Right. I'm getting a little bit nervous about how much
It's quite a lot of code,
extra
isn't
stuff
it?
that we're writing over here, but let's power through it. Okay, so we've got a character state. The first thing that tripped us up last time was this import, right? And here we're just importing character. So maybe I'm just going to change this to import star, right? To start with. Also, the pylinter is really starting to make my headache a little bit with the because pylint can't find the character class, but pytest can.
Right.
Any suggestions on how I can disable that would be great. So what we need here then is a class character state, which, is this I'm just trying to remember from Python, is this like an enum.enum or collections.enum? I can't remember. Would you mind looking it up for me actually?
Yeah, I'm wondering, do we do it just easier and just have constants?
Oh yeah, okay. So
Because like that's like, and then
kind of
could,
like C style where you've got like a define,
yeah,
alive one. Okay.
just as like, we can maybe build the complexity up later if we need it, but that's
Sure.
all we probably need for now.
Okay, so let's go alive, dead, like this. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Right. So def get state return alive.
Yep.
Drum roll.
Just yeah, I think it should pass.
It passed.
Nice.
Okay, we're still good.
Cool.
We're still good. Cool. Do you want to swap over?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay.
Do you want me to read out the next? So characters can deal damage to characters. Damage is subtracted from health. When damage received exceeds current health, then health becomes 0 and character dies. Right. Let's start with.
So that's a lot there. I think we need to decompose that, right? Because the first thing there is characters can attack other characters.
Yes.
So there's some kind of character interaction here. Now, how do we want to model that? Do we want to say like character dot attack another character with some damage value, or do we want to model it like character dot take damage, and then anything can call that function? My gut feeling at the moment is we do the take damage approach, because then we don't have to worry too much about interactions at this state, and just that keeps it much more simple.
Yeah, that seems reasonably.
Yeah, so it would be something like character dot take damage, and then after that we need to assert that the health has decreased by that damage amount.
Yes,
right?
That sounds good.
That would be the yeah. So test character can take damage. So I've just able to look at the chat now, and Billy Thompson has been sending plenty of messages. Hi Billy, nice of you to join us. Says here, every new line of code makes me more and more nervous. Me too.
Yeah. Do you know what? I wasn't as nervous before I started writing the code. It's weird.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. So, and then we were going to do something like, so take damage. Was that? I think that was the suggested language, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That's what's going to take a number.
So take like 10 or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then
now,
so after here we want to say assert character dot get HP.
Yeah.
Sorry, go on.
what I'm going to suggest is we implement enough that this works, that this passes, and then add, because that like try and just small. So kind of arrange act, get the act to pass, and then do this, then get this, then write the assertion and make sure that passes. Does that seem?
Yep. Because if we try to do too much, then we're risking reverting the changes. Yep.
Yeah. So
okay.
Do some copy pasting so I don't typo. Cool.
Comma.
Yeah. So we call it damage? Yeah, amount.
Damage amount. Damage. Yeah, damage amount sounds good.
Cool.
We can ignore types for now.
Yeah,
I feel like that's too much.
Doesn't. Okay. I see a red squiggly. Do I need to like just return?
Yeah, it's because you either need to you need to put something there basically.
Yeah.
So you either put pass or return or something.
Okay.
Just the way the lexer works in Python.
Cool. Do you want to run the tests? Let's see if I think.
Let's run the test. Oh no.
What was it?
So character object has no attribute take damage.
What? Why not? Oh, that's interesting. It didn't revert the.
Oh, I know why. I think it's because it didn't save.
Oh.
It didn't save the file.
Okay.
Because you were still editing.
Right.
Yeah. So okay. Note to future self. Save. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
But so because it didn't save, there was nothing to actually revert, right? Like it was still in VS Code's memory, right?
Yeah.
So from Git's point of view, it hadn't been written to disk yet. So that's why we have the take damage function there now. Whoa, that's a silly thing to lose a test for.
I mean, the first time I did TCR on my own, I left autosave on and wrote a test, and then flicked over to the implementation and lost the test.
Oh no!
and did it twice because I couldn't work out what had happened. I thought I'd made a mistake. So
this is an interesting thing with TCR. That it's something that I guess you wouldn't expect to be a problem, like autosave functionality.
Yeah. Okay, so where were we? Character.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's that, and then we were doing
assert character. Oh, sorry, character.take damage, and that was it, right?
And it was going to take 10.
Yeah.
Okay. Save.
Yep. Okay. Yep. Okay, we're still green. Okay, cool. Here we go.
Much better.
So I'm seeing an opportunity now for some refactoring. So you see here we've instantiated a character like 3 times here. Now, one of the nice things about PyTest is we can create fixtures and we can create usable fixtures, reusable fixtures. And the syntax for that looks something like this. So first we need to import PyTest. And actually, you know what? I'm going to just TCR this before. Yep. Okay. So we're good with that. We could import PyTest. So we do something like, well, let me do it this way, right? So we could say def character. Actually, no. Let's give our character a name, right? Let's do Alice, right?
Okay.
And Alice is a function at the moment. And then here we can just say return character. And so at the moment, this is just a function, but the way to turn this into a fixture is we give it an annotation, pytest.fixture, like this.
Yep.
And then what we can do is we can use all of these, we can use that as an argument to each one of our test functions. Yep. And PyTest will automatically inject these. They're functions, but you could argue that this is a class, it's a fixture, right?
Yeah.
Inject Alice as a fixture here, and then now we can say, instead of character equals character, right? We can say assert Alice.get HP equals 1000. So let's just TCR this, make sure that it works. Yes, it does, right? So this is a nice way of refactoring, so that instead of having to do this thing every single time, right? So this is kind of like in Java like setup,
Yeah.
or before each kind of thing. We can create this fixture and then make use of PyTest's fixture injection or auto injection capabilities to make our code a lot cleaner.
Cool. Yeah, I think that's a good refactor at this point.
Cool. So would you like to do the rest of it?
Yes. So,
there's lots of great questions in the comments that we will get to at the end when it's retro time.
save. Okay. Do you want to do that one?
Yep. Still good.
Cool. And that one.
Okay, good stuff.
Okay, cool. Okay, so now we need to do the assertion, basically, don't we? So assert, and we're minusing off 10, so that should be 990. Oh, right.
So
save that.
That one line of assertion code is now going to cause a lot of change in our character class.
It is, yes.
And so I'm wondering, like, okay, let's try and go through with it. But I do wonder if TCR is going to bite us here because of the amount of change that we're going to make. Let's go through it and then see how much it bites us.
Yeah, I'm just because that is my thought is like now I need to, I'm going to have to kind of create a constructor and a variable
and store state.
I'm already nervous.
Yeah, me too. I'm very nervous about this, but let's power through it.
Okay. Maybe we could do it. So yeah, so you're gonna have to help with the syntax a bit. So how do I do it?
So the constructor in Python is def _ init or dunder init. Yeah, it's init flanked by there we go. Yep. And then here what we need to do is self.hp health, something like that, equals $1,000. So now that you've written out that line of code, I'm wondering actually if as part of this we also need to change the get HP function, or should we leave that for later?
We will need to change it at some point as part of this, because this is where I'm wondering, do we comment out the assertion and make the refactor slowly so that it works and then add the functionality? Because if I comment out, if I take the test out now, I can run that and that should,
and that will still work.
fail.
Exactly. And then and then the get HP we need to change as part of this as well.
Yeah, but we can do that as a secondary thing. So if you run the test, that should commit this, I think. I don't think that, unless there's a syntax error.
Oh, still good.
Cool. So now I should be able to just do return self.hp.
Run the tests.
Hang on.
Yeah, still good.
Was it good? Okay, cool. Sorry, I got.
Oh no, sorry, it didn't. Yeah, sorry, it didn't save.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. It was just that it hadn't saved, is why I was. Okay, try again.
Yeah, good.
Cool. Okay.
Oh, hang on, I've just realized something. Character.py is not a tracked file. Wait, why not?
It should be.
Oh, because we moved it. Sorry,
okay.
But
should -a do that?
Yeah, -a should automatically commit it.
We do just add dot.
I might just get add dot to this. That's kind of weird because
Yeah.
I would have expected git commit -am adds
To replace that
everything.
one. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, okay,
Something to look at later.
fine. Let me just check if TCR works. Yeah, we're good. Okay.
Cool. Okay. So now feels like a point where we can bring back the assertion.
Yeah.
And make that small change.
Yes.
Okay. So self dot HP equals HP.
You can do minus equals, by the way.
Okay, cool. Minus equals. Okay, save. Both files are saved. So cool.
Okay, very good. Very, very good.
That's a much nicer set of smaller.
Yes. It's really forcing us to think in very, very small, tiny steps, right?
Yeah.
Because of the risk of losing the the changes.
Yeah.
But the other thing I'm thinking is this actually makes it, because sometimes you do a lot of change and there's like, oh, when should I commit? Is this a committable change? Here you kind of don't have to think about that because every little change is just committed, and then it's at the end where you just go, right, let's just squash everything into one.
Yeah, it's nice. I do like it. And it also, like, we're running the tests more, like, as I was saying, kind of, if you take Uncle Bob's rules of you run the test every time you should be failing, and that includes compilation failures. Like, yes. We're actually doing that, whereas I don't think I do that when I'm kind of working.
Yeah.
So I wonder if this, changes the way you do normal TDD a bit. If you practice this and then went back to kind of just
doing TDD, but with the knowledge of TCR in your repertoire. Yeah.
So
okay. Let's carry on.
Yep.
So our next test. So characters can take damage. Yep. What was the next part of that requirement?
Okay, so characters can deal damage to characters. Damage is subtracted from health, so we've done that bit. When damage, so we need to. So basically, when health becomes 0, character dies. So we could, again, this feels like there's quite a lot of, this is quite a big lot of change. Seems ridiculous that we're talking about such tiny change, but as massive amounts of change.
Right.
So let's start by just writing the test. Let's do that.
Yeah.
So def test character dies when damage,
when HP is 0.
Yeah. 0. I use numbers in Python functions. No,
yeah. As long as a function doesn't start with a number,
cool.
It's all good.
That's fine. Takes Alice.
Yeah. So Alice should die. Now, how do we want to model that? Is that a state thing?
I think so. Yeah. I think that's where we should. Yeah.
So Alice takes, let's say she gets nuked, right? So she just takes 1,000 damage straight away. And then after that, if we say .get state.
Yep. Should we do some refactoring first? And because we're about to start modifying the get state function.
Yeah, you're right. But what would the refactor be here? Because
could we?
Because we did. Yeah, right. So we need to store the state on the actual character. Yeah. Okay. Let's do that. So I mean, let's TCR this because it should.
Yeah,
that should pass. That's fine. Okay. So in our init function, in our constructor, we want to say self dot. Let's call it state. Just.
Alive.
Yep. Alive. And then our get state is going to be return self dot state.
Can you TCR that first?
You're very paranoid, aren't you? I feel like we could get a bit braver, right? We could
can.
we could make more than one line of code change at a time.
We can be brave until we get bitten, I think, is the answer.
Okay, we're still good. We're still
okay.
Good. Right. So yeah, so when she takes damage, then our state should return dead, right?
So it's dead. Okay.
Okay, so now again, this is one of those assertions that makes me quite nervous, right? Because it's like still a lot of logic.
It is.
Yeah, because now we have an if statement, right? So if self.hp is less than or equal to 0, right?
Yeah.
Then so colon. Then we want to say self.state equals dead.
Okay.
Okay. Ooh, all right, we're good.
Just thinking we could tidy this up now as well, because we don't need to hold state if we know that alive means health. We could move this logic basically into the get state. So that rather than switching state, we just return the known state.
So the get state basically does the logic on the HP. Yep.
Because just that seems like a better way to do it.
Yep.
So
and then we don't actually have to store state. We just say, then it becomes static, and then that's one less problem to deal with. Yeah, because remember, dear viewers, the less state that you can hold, the less bugs in your code.
Okay, cool. That should be okay.
Famous last words. We're good.
We are good. Cool.
And actually, sorcery here is suggesting. So this is one of the nice things about sorcery. This is it's like a Python. It's kind of like what's the tool for like C# and Java, where it basically tells you how you can simplify your code. It gives you little insights over here. So if I can say lift code into, so we can turn it into a one-liner like this, which is quite nice. And I assume after TCRing that should still be good. Yeah. So here we're returning. This is, Python has a bit of a weird ternary syntax. Like it's typically reversed compared to other languages, right?
Okay.
Where you're like, you return the thing that you want to return comes before, so that the conditional doesn't come first. The conditional is in the middle of the two things that you want to return.
Okay.
Yeah. Which is a bit it is like you're reading pseudocode, right? You could read it out in like English, but it's a bit weird to get your head around if you're coming from languages like JavaScript or C or
I like it though.
Language.
It's quite nice. Yeah.
All right. So our next test then should be, well, what's the next requirement actually?
Good question. Hang on. So where are we? When damage received, the character dies. A character can heal themselves. So
this is like I got character dot heal.
Yeah.
And so that's basically like the opposite of the take damage function, right?
So should it? So that's a good question. Should it take a level of healing, like heal 10, like we did with like you can take an amount of damage. Should you be able to heal to back to the default, or should you?
I think you should be able to heal a specific amount.
Yeah.
Because then you can also have like, then you can say, right, heal, and then you can give it like 1,000,000, but then you have some logic in there that makes sure that the heal doesn't go above the, right?
Yeah.
So that's
that
one way
sounds
you
like
could
good.
do it.
So do you want to take the keyboard for a bit? I just need to go. I'm going to be in the room, but I'm just going to deal with something. So if you start writing the test.
Sure, I'll write the test
Okay.
first. See you in a sec. Right, so here we'll say test character can heal. And this is going to be basically exactly the same as the character can take damage, except we're going to do Alice dot heal, and we'll do 10 again, and now we can say assert Alice dot get HP. Now, here's a good question.
Yes.
Because so we need to start from a state, from a wounded state, right?
Yes.
Now, how do we want to do that? Do we want to say Alice dot take damage? Some amount of damage?
I think so, because we haven't read through all the rules, and I know there's a rule coming up saying that you can't go over 1,000 health. If that makes sense. So we should definitely deal some damage.
Sure. Okay. So is that how we want to do it, or do we just want to say Alice dot HP, set her to 500 HP, and then heal her like this, or do we want to model it through the take damage and then interface? How do we want to do this?
So I think I would go for the take damage approach rather than setting an exact amount of health from the outside, because at the moment being able to say like this character has a set amount of health isn't a requirement. So I'd rather go through the interface for the test.
Now, I fully agree with you actually, and that as well, because like let's say the take damage, heal, this is a public interface, but under the hood, right? Yeah. Really, health should be a private variable, right?
Yes.
Now there's no such thing as a private variable in Python, but yeah, we shouldn't be directly modifying members of classes, right? So yeah. I mean, we can also do it something like Alice.health, but that I think would be way too complicated for this.
Yeah.
So we can just say Alice.take damage. Let's say she takes 100, right? And then heals, and then get HP after that. So we go from 1,000 minus 100 is 900 plus 10, 910, right?
Yeah. Cool.
Okay. So we're not going to run that test because we know it's going to fail.
Yeah.
So we need a heal. Heal amount. And then self.hp plus equals heal amount. Drum roll.
Yeah.
What happened?
What happened? Get HP takes one positional argument, but 2 were given. I can't remember what case.
It might have been that I forgot to add self.
No. If you look at the, so can you see that you on the assert line, you've passed the health you expected?
Yeah. I've done I wrote the assertion wrong.
Yeah.
No. Okay, I'm just going to cheat over here. I'm going to copy.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Here we go.
So let's fix that first. So it should be get HP and then
equal. Yeah. Sorry.
It's all right. I didn't see it either.
Right. Oh no.
But luckily it wasn't a massive step again.
Yeah, exactly. Right. It self dot HP plus equals heal amount. Okay. Super paranoid now. Have I got this right?
It maths looks right.
Okay.
There we
Phew.
go.
Right, we got it. We got it.
Okay. Okay. So
they can take damage, they can heal.
yes.
What's next?
Dead characters cannot heal.
So how do we want to model that?
Yeah.
Is that just we assert that the health stays at 0?
Uh,
Alice takes damage, takes 1,000 damage, she dies. Then then Alice tries to get some healing, but then the get HP is still 0 after that point, or we say the state is still dead.
yeah, I think so. We could. It's a good question, actually, isn't it? Because we could it's kind of you've got both ways of checking it.
Yeah. I mean, okay, let's go through it, right? So
Yeah.
that test character cannot heal after dying, right?
Yeah.
So Alice takes 1,000 damage.
Yeah.
Poor thing. Right. And then she tries to get to
heal.
to take some healing.
Yeah.
And then so here our assertion is what, right? Alice. So we can do get HP is still 0 and get state is dead.
Yeah, I think both.
Yeah, we can do both. I mean, what does the requirement actually say, right? So it's like so dead characters cannot receive healing. Is that what it said?
So it's dead. It just says dead characters cannot heal.
Cannot heal.
So we could just check that they're still dead.
I mean, another way of modeling this as well is we can throw an exception, right? And then make the calling code kind of deal with it, right? So let's say if character is dead and someone tries to heal, then we can say throw characters dead characters cannot be healed exception.
Yeah.
Now the test for that is going to be a bit more complicated. I'm just thinking ahead now, right? Because our code is going to be throwing an exception, right? Which typically means you have a failed test.
Yeah.
And so the way, if I recall correctly, the way to do that is something like PyTest throws inside a with block. I think something like this. I need to double check the exact syntax.
I think actually, I wonder if we just leave it as so. Line 42, Alice dies.
Yeah.
Line 43, we attempt to revive Alice, and then our assertion is Alice is still dead.
So it's just this.
Yeah.
Okay.
That kind of matches the criteria.
Yeah, I guess it's all about the intention, right?
Yeah.
But for me, a requirement that says cannot receive healing, right? It's the you're not asserting that she's still dead afterwards. You're asserting that you cannot heal, right? Which basically sounds to me like that's an invalid operation, and an invalid operation would typically throw an error. If you get where I'm coming from.
Yeah, true. Yeah, that makes sense.
Now, I would also go down that route in this case just because it's a bit more interesting, right? Because otherwise we're just following the same pattern over and over again, and I feel like that could be quite a fun test commit revert thing to battle with.
Yeah, let's do that then. Let's throw the exception.
Yeah, so I just want to double check. I'm just going to look up here in another window. PyTest assert throws. With PyTest raises, right? So that's how you do it. So here with PyTest dot raises, and here we put the actual exception in, right? So I don't know, what kind of exception do we want to raise? Dead character cannot be healed exception. It's a bit verbose, but it works, right? And then actually this goes in here, right? So So basically, we stick it in a context manager, and we say, right, we expect code in here to throw an exception, right? If that code doesn't throw an exception, then the test is going to fail. But if it does, then it's going to pass, right? So this is the syntax in PyTest to do that. Now we're going to have to create this exception. And that's a really simple to subclass exceptions in Python. You just do this. Boom. Missing class docstring. Oh, don't worry about that. Yep. Okay. That should be fine. I'm getting red squigglies on my screen, but I'm not.
Yeah, I'm not seeing them on mine.
Let me just. It's probably just a little bit slow. Okay.
Yep.
No.
No.
So because we did not. Sorry. We didn't actually implement the functionality.
Okay.
I was trying to TDD this. Okay. Right, I'm going to cheat again.
Cool.
Okay, right. Alice heal 10. Okay. Class. Ooh. Okay. Right. So in our heal is where we have to do here, right? So like if I guess we can do if self get state is dead.
Yeah.
Then raise dead character cannot be healed exception.
Yeah. I think I like that better than checking the kind of number.
Oh, and it passed. Excellent. Yeah. So that to me is more representative of what the requirement is stating.
Yeah.
Cool. Do we want to add a message to this? I mean, the exception is kind of self-explanatory from my point of view.
Yeah, I think the there's enough verbosity in the class, the exception name.
Yeah,
you should be able to work out what you're doing.
Yeah. Maybe if we get more exceptions, we might find some kind of exception hierarchy. But at the moment, I don't see the need. Okay. Cool. So what's our next test?
So I was just looking at that. So I'm just going through. So the next thing is all through levels. So all characters have a level starting at 1.
So def characters start at level 1.
Yeah.
So here it's just assert alice.get level 1 like this. All right. Seems simple enough. Now, TDD style, right? The simplest implementation of this is to just say, create a function called get level that just returns 1, right?
Yes.
And I'm also fairly confident that it's going to pass our TCR. So let's try that. Cool. Very good.
Okay. Cool. Okay. So this is where one of the things we discussed earlier comes in. So the next kind of requirement is that whilst at level 1, a character cannot gain more health points than the original 1,000. So so you can't heal. So if you're at 1,000, you can't heal beyond 1,000.
Right. So def test level or characters at level 1 cannot heal above 1,000.
Yeah.
And so the wording of that is just they can't heal above 1,000, right? So it's not, this isn't like we want to throw exceptions. It's just we basically cap it at 1,000, right?
So character cannot have health above 1,000 until they reach level 6. But
Right,
yeah,
okay.
we'll get onto that in a bit.
Sure, fine. So then we say Alice dot heal.
Yeah.
And then here we say assert Alice dot get HP is still equal to 1,000, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So the implementation of this is in our heal, right?
Yes.
So here we'll say if self dot get HP
Equals 1,000.
Yeah. There's a lot of magic numbers coming over here, which we might be able to, but I don't know what I think we still probably need a bit more, need to go through a few more requirements to understand the.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Before we can call these magic number, we could call it starting health or something like that, but yeah. So here, then we'll just say do nothing, right?
Yes. I think that's it.
Yeah. So this makes sense, right? Because if we're trying to heal and if we're already at 1,000, then we don't do anything.
Yep.
That seems good to me. Okay, still passing. Excellent.
Cool. So should we add another test into that though? So that makes sure we don't go above 1,000 when we're at 1,000. But should we have a test where we deal some health, deal some damage of like 100 and try to heal 200, so it only goes back up to 1,000 and stops?
Yep. Nope. That's also a great idea. So do we want to do additional assertions in the same test or create additional tests for this? I would probably just do it as part of the same.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah.
So take 100 damage, and then Alice dot heal 200, and then here we expect
1,000 still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's just put a comment in here, cannot overheal.
Yeah.
Okay. I was just about to run the tests because I still got that TDD trigger finger, but I just stopped myself from pressing the button. Okay.
Okay.
So interestingly here as well, yeah, this shouldn't actually change. No. This will fail, won't it? I was going to say this is not going to fail, but it will because, yeah. So what do we want to do here? We want to say self HP equals the minimum of self HP and 1,000. Like that's one way of doing it.
Yep.
So basically clamping it to either whatever the current HP is, or if HP is above 1,000, then it will go back to 1,000.
Yeah.
And then in that case, I don't think we need this, but we'll get back to that refactor in a second. I'm just going to TCR first and then maybe take that line of code out. Yeah. Okay. So the test is still passing. So I want to see if we can just get rid of that and simplifies it. And it does.
Cool. Nice. Yeah, that's nice and tidy.
Yeah. You see there the TCR, I was like, I'm not so sure about this, so I just want to do step by step. Nice.
Cool.
Okay.
So you're talking about magic numbers. Do we want to? So we've now got 1,000 in 2 places, and we know that that's kind of maximum health points.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it suggests that it's the maximum health points at level 1, right? I'm assuming that will scale somehow.
I think it does change. Yeah.
That does change. So how do we want to model that? So is that like we could call it a magic number, but what would we call it?
Yeah.
So like max HP.
Just to go through it. So it's a character cannot have health above 1,000 until they reach level 6. when maximum increases to 1500.
So that to me sounds like a bit of a helper function almost, but you'd still have magic numbers in there, right? So
yeah,
I'd call that so max HP until level 5. Sorry, until level 6 is 1000. Max HP above oh, 6 is 1500. I don't like this.
No. So interestingly, leveling up is quite later in the implementation, if they're in the requirements. So should we just leave it for now as max HP?
Let's call it that. Let's call it max HP. Yeah.
And then we'll come back and like once we have better understanding in our tests, then add the understanding into our code.
Yeah, that makes
sense.
The
test name might actually change it.
Yeah. So I'm trying to do a clever refactor here. Max HP. Right. Let me just TCR that. Does that still pass? Yes, it does. Okay. Okay, we're good. Man, I really want to fix Pylint. Or just disable it for now. Because it's
so it's working fine. Weirdly, it's working fine on mine. I don't know. Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
Okay.
If I took the time to actually set it up properly, then it would be fine. Okay, so
yeah.
So what's the next test then?
So that's just what I'm just going through the requirements. So the next one talks about levels when dealing damage. So when dealing damage, if the target is 5 or more levels above the attacker, damage is reduced by 50%. But that requires us to have characters at different levels. And at the moment, the only way to do that would be to have some kind of, I suppose we could start creating a stub or use some kind of a test double for dealing damage and start passing in the attacker.
Yeah, I mean, like, I guess the interface we have at the moment, right, is say character.take damage, and we're not doing any yeah, we can pass the, so what you mean, something like take damage amount, or and then attacker, right?
Yeah.
Which is also another character.
Yeah.
And then in here we do logic. In here the logic is where we do the logic of the damage scaling and stuff based on what the attacker's stats are.
Yeah, I think taking the attacker would be better than having an attack function that.
But then I would also, to me, then this also changes it to do damage, right? Because take damage implies that you're going to take exactly that amount of damage. That's the end number that you're going to take.
Yeah.
But the do damage implies that there's still some kind of armor mitigation, some kind of thing process in between the attack and the damage being taken, which is where the calculation happens. So that would probably be my preferred approach, is so we can leave that there and actually do something here like def do damage, right? Self damage amount, and then the attacker, right? And then here is where we do, some math. Math to modify the damage taken, and then do self.take damage, right? Modified.
Feels like quite a lot of change.
Yeah, so that
And we haven't got a test, so we
no. So
but yeah.
that to me is what it would look like, right? Anyway, get rid of that because TDD. Do you want to swap, by the way? Do you want to type?
Yeah, I can type for a bit. I'm just wondering whether, although we go kind of at the moment, we're kind of just going through the kind of the workings, but at the moment, like going through the requirements one by one, I'm wondering if we need to start talking about different levels and being 5 above and 5 below. Do we want to start looking at how people level up before we start looking at different attack characteristics, if that makes sense?
I mean, so like what is the leveling up requirement? How is that described?
So changing level, level 1 characters that survive 1,000 damage points gain a level. This can be countered over several battles. A character cannot gain a level whilst receiving damage. It happens directly afterwards if the character is still alive. Level 2 characters need to survive an additional 2,000 damage points to gain a level. So it seems like
so this is like take damage, heal, take damage, heal, take damage, heal type of thing, right?
So it seems, and it seems that the way it works is basically to get from level 1 to level up as a level 1 character, you need to take over 1,000 points worth of damage over some battles. Level 2, 2,000, level 3, 3,000, and stuff like that.
Yeah. Okay. So I mean, like, so that could look like I'll let you type in a second, but like test battles, whatever. So you could have like it's going to be a lot of act, right?
Yeah.
So I'm thinking like battle 1, and then do some assertions, right?
Yeah.
Battle 2, right? Do some assertions. And then let's say after battle 3 that they've taken so much damage.
Yeah.
Maybe battle 1, and then rest period 1, right? Where they do some healing.
Yeah.
Right. So basically what we're doing is here we're basically typing out like a sequence of events, right?
Yeah.
Quite seems like it would be fairly long-winded scenario. But we I guess we have to simulate that to kind of show, character can level up.
Yeah.
And that could be a happy path.
Yeah, that sounds good.
All right.
I'd say leave that in. Oh, okay.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
So I'm happy to kind of so character, do we say can level up?
Yeah, I think it's character. So let's say character levels up after, because it's specifically the requirement. So character levels up after taking 1,000 damage without dying. I think that's the key there, right?
Yeah. So
yeah.
So
I mean, I would say right, battle 1, battle 2, battle 3. Maybe that's a bit that's a lot. That's a lot of setup. So what's the simplest way that we can simulate this, right? So let's say,
so can I just what's if we do some copy? So it would look something like takes, let's say 900 damage,
and then heals.
It heals 900 like that.
Yeah.
And then we can just do same again. To exactly 1,000, should we? There we go.
I mean, maybe we probably don't need that second heal there, right? So like after that second take damage,
then
they should have leveled up, right?
Yes. So assert
Alice dot get level equals 2.
Like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
That is. I'm just reading through the test now. So she's taken 1,000 total damage, but because of the heal, she hasn't died. Right?
Yeah.
Do we want to assert that she's still alive, by the way, after that?
Trying to think if we need to based on the previous tests. Because we know that here, well, basically at this point here on line 67, she should have health points of 1,000 again.
Yeah. No, that's
so we've tested that. And then we've only taken away 100. So I don't think we should need to test she's alive because we've tested all those states.
Yeah, because we've tested all that before. Yep, no, that's fair. Yeah. And actually then the test is doing less as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Cool.
So so now we need to do some so how do we want to track this in our character class? Seems to me that we need to keep like a running total of total damage taken, right?
Yeah.
Over the entire lifetime of the character.
So total damage
taken.
Yep.
Or maybe I think a better way of describing that would be lifetime damage taken, because that to me that would signify like there is a difference semantically, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. And then every time she takes damage, we need to increase that.
Yeah.
Plus equals damage amount. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the level up, so that now there's going to be a trigger for a level up, right? So what's the I mean, it seems to me that the trigger for the level up is also the take damage. So in the take damage is where we're going to do the leveling up, right?
So could it just not be
yeah. No, I see where you're going with this. So like the same way we did the get state, like return dead if self HP is 0.
Yeah.
Here we just
it
say
would be like maximum of 1. And then it would be life. No, it's okay. Yeah, 0 divided by 1,000 is not going to. That's right.
So just keep it simple, right? Just return self dot lifetime damage taken divided by
like that.
Is that the logic?
No, it's not, is it? Because that's the
Then let's just do a simple if statement. That's what I would do.
Yeah. Let's do that.
We might be able to use match case here as well, actually.
Life self dot lifetime damage taken is greater than or equal to 1,000. Return 2. Return 1. That is the logic. Yeah.
Currently. Yeah.
Currently.
Yeah. Okay.
I think. Yeah. Cool. Do you want to TCR that? I feel like I've written quite a lot.
Let's TCR then. Oh no. Object has no attribute take damage. Wait, since when?
Did I have a typo?
No, it's fine. Alice.take damage 900. No, that was fine. Did we save?
Must. I don't know.
It's a bit suspicious. All right. Let's just copy paste it back in. So what was it? So Alice, take.
So you need to heal. So you got take damage. You need to heal after that to 900. Okay. Given that it seemed to be,
So how about we just TCR up to that point, because that should still work, right?
Yeah,
we've not made any assertions.
Yeah. I think.
Wait, what's going on?
I don't know.
Oh, it's a function attribute, has no. Oh, I know why. It's because we forgot to pass it into the.
We forgot to pass Alice in.
Here. This was the issue.
Yeah. Okay, try again.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Cool.
But so here's the thing. Here's an interesting thing for me now is actually with TCR, you can probably do small steps with the test. So you can still validate that. Have I written the right test?
Yeah.
Like, for example, without doing any assertions in it necessarily. So like in some cases when you're not introducing any new methods or interfaces on the target class, you can still just spend time in the test, right? Making sure that's right through TCR without doing an assertion.
Yeah.
So let's do that going forward for sure.
Yes, definitely. Because the tests are getting bigger now, aren't they?
Yes. So now here we have to say Alice.get level, assert. Sorry, I'm right. I'm typing for you. I was taking over.
That's okay, cool. Get level 2.
Yeah.
Okay. And then what I had was, yes, this is fun, isn't it?
So we had the lifetime damage amount. Yeah.
Thank you. I would say, whilst I'm typing this, if we had any hecklers in the chat, or has Billy gone away now?
Let me check. There's plenty of questions for us to address at the end.
Okay, cool. That'd be fun. Take damage. So take damage. Self.life. Then we're going if.
Another thought that just crossed my mind is we're writing a lot of code here, which we're risking having to rewrite.
Yes.
Now I wonder if, again, because this is why TCR is a little bit different to test-driven development, right? Where we're writing the assertion here, right? And then we're trying to get it to pass. But actually with TCR, I would suggest that like you write the logic, like, so you write some of the test and then you don't write that assertion. And then you rewrite the logic and you, because then TCR will not wipe all of the changes that we've made. And then you write the assertion afterwards.
Yeah.
So did you get what I mean? It's like, so if we just comment this one out for a minute, we're still confident now that any changes that we make so far in the class are like good generally, right?
Oh, that's an interesting approach.
Right. So you see what I mean, right?
Yeah,
like
we shouldn't have broken the 1,000, the level. We shouldn't have in any way broken get level just default to 1.
Yeah.
With this code. Yeah, no, I like that. Let's try that going forward.
But then it's almost like it's like the opposite of TDD now, right? Like we're thinking of, I mean, we're still trying to do a TDD style, right? Where we write the test first, but it's almost like, right, let's leave the assertion out for a second because we don't want to risk like TCR wiping our changes. So then we move over to the code and we'll write the logic. And then once we're happy with the logic, then we write the assertion. So it's almost like we're going backwards now.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, but we're still designing. We're still like, there's still that design going in, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that's true. So and I think that's the interesting point about TDD as well, is like it's not just the right, you write the assertion first and then you write the thing. It's you're actually doing the design work by doing TDD, and that's the most important. That's actually the biggest reason to do it.
Yeah, because I mean we still need to have, like, if you think about the function naming, there's like the smallest design, like those are like those tiny design decisions. Like the name of the function, you're still going to have that conversation. You're still going to have to think about it to make sure it makes sense.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And it could come as a small refactor as well later. You could, like, I know you're not meant to change the interface, but like if you're working at this level, probably like the interface isn't going to be being used. So flexing the interface as you go, oh, assert, like call the function, you go, no, it doesn't read right.
Yeah.
So you can, yeah, it's interesting.
Okay. Do you want me to TCR this then?
Yes, please.
Okay. Good.
Cool. Okay, and now
So
bring the assertion back.
So now we want to bring the assertion back. Is TCR now? Yeah. Yeah, we're good.
So thinking about what we've just done, though, we have technically, because of the way we're doing TCR, we've committed untested code doing it that way.
Yeah.
Because does that make sense?
Yeah.
So there is like this. I mean, we're not pushing to production at this point, and I'm guessing people doing. Do you reckon people doing TCR have it set up so you can push and it all goes through the pipes and goes to production?
I don't think anyone actually does TCR in production. But then I wonder if this is if this is just something that we have to, as in still properly follow TDD with TCR. It's just the way you do it is just by making sure your changes are absolutely tiny.
Yeah.
Rather than trying to accommodate the fact that TCR might wipe your code and you don't want to lose it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. But I think adding tests slowly and doing refactoring is probably okay. But I think actually adding new functionality before you've got the assertion there is probably bad.
Yeah. No, I fully agree with you exactly, because that breaks the whole principle of TDD.
Yeah. Cool.
Good discussion though. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So is that the only requirement? Is that the next requirement that we've done?
So yeah. So that allows people to level from 1 to 2. So do we want to also do 2 to 3?
How many levels have we got?
So it seems like the rules don't actually suggest maximum level is 10.
Yeah.
Maximum level for a character. Yeah. So we should probably go.
And does the health sort of scale linearly? Like, is the health a mathematical function, or does it need to be a lookup table?
No, it's a mathematical function. So to go to level 2, you have to have survived the 2,000 rounds of damage, basically. And then level 3, you have to have survived 3,000 points of damage.
So shall we try to? I can feel like we'll probably end up having a couple of these, right? So levels. So rather than this being like levels up, test like level is 2 after 1,000 damage, right? So like that seems to be a better test name for me. But then this is also a prime candidate for parameterization, right? So like test level is X after Y damage.
Yeah.
And then you can do something like PyTest parameterize. I think that's the right syntax. Let me just double check. I spelled it wrong. Parameterize like this. Right. And then here, what we've got is, so you have to give a string, which is the, so expected level.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yeah.
Before we go into parameterizing it, should we do like 2 rounds of leveling up, understand what the test looks like, because it's
before doing it. Sure.
Before doing it, because what we could do is we could just do it within one test for now, if that makes sense, because it's just that thing of like baby steps. I think.
Because fully agree.
At this point, they're at level. Alice is at level 2. So
I know we can just keep on.
We could just copy paste the above actually.
So what? Just like say. You mean do it in the same test?
Yeah, just for now, and then look at how we collapse that down. One thing I would wonder is just make our lives easier mathematics-wise. Is instead of doing that 900, we do 100 on the last one.
Right, but then so Alice needs to get back to full health.
So yeah, we could
after every battle, right? So like so here she's taken 1,000.
yeah. So
she's level 2, and then she say Alice heal like 10,000, whatever. That should clamp it.
Yeah.
And then we take another 1,000 after that. It should be level 3.
Be level 3. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the test.
So this seems to me like yeah, okay, that's the test. Cool.
Yeah. So let's run that. No. Let's write that.
Let's not run that. Let's write this. Yeah.
So I'm just gonna do it really easy for now. So if in fact.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, happy to run this.
Yep.
Both files saved.
Hang on. Yes.
Okay.
Okay, cool. So
yeah,
can we now parameterize it so that this runs as a parameterized? Do we need a parameterized test, or could we just loop?
Yeah, I was also thinking we could loop, and another thing that crossed my mind actually is doing something like def take damage and like so this just logic basically, right? Take damage and heal.
Yeah.
Fully, right? Take 1,000 damage and heal fully, right?
Yeah.
And then so here we just say boom, 1 and 2.
Yeah.
And 3, right?
Hang on, should before you go, should we just check that works?
Yep. No, you're right.
Totally trust you, but cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the next step would I guess be something like this, right? But this is getting quite repetitive, yeah?
Yes.
Because we want to go all the way to 10. So yeah, you're right. We can probably do a loop here. So sorry, I've taken the keyboard again.
That's all right. Do you want to write the loop? I'm just gonna say.
So for I in range
10, yeah.
That goes from 0 to 9. 1 to 11, I think.
Yeah.
Assert level equals I think.
Yeah. Do you want to do 1 to 3 first?
Yeah.
Just make sure it works, and then.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna do that. No.
Yeah. Assert 2 equals 1.
For I in range, I think it's the. No, sorry, because the first step needs to be 2. So it's 2, 3, right? Take damage and heal fully. Assert Alice get level equals I, right?
Yeah, and then you need to comment out the above bit or delete it.
Why?
Because
I mean, I can keep it in.
Oh, what's it? So would.
As in, like, I'll keep it because the test is still valid, right? I'll just add it at the bottom, right? And then once we got that bit right with TCR, then I can take it out.
Yeah, but surely she's leveling up.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Yeah, the state. Yeah, Yep, you are right. I did need to take that out, so I'll just whop that in here. Assert as I take this out.
Yeah, that's better. No.
Oh, I forgot the word in. Oh God. In range 2, 3 equals I, and then get rid of this. Okay. Yes.
Nice. Cool.
Right.
So now we can do the full range.
So if we go to 11,
Yeah.
then that should fail, but that's fine. Yeah, I'll just get taken back to 3, right? So now we need to do to 11. And then here, what, it just increases by 1,000 each time, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I mean that seems to me like we just return self.lifetime damage amount divided by 1,000 int.
Yeah.
And then that should, if you cast it to an int, that's not a rounding thing. It's just basically the equivalent of a taking away the decimals.
Yeah.
I think that should work. Nope.
Set 1 equals.
Do we need to +1 to it?
Yes.
So int this.
Yeah.
And then +1 to it, right? Yeah.
Cool.
Excellent.
We can delete that. Nice.
TCR, very good. Cool. It's 11:40.
Yes.
Do we want to stop here and do our retro, and maybe answer some questions that we've had on the stream?
Yes, I think that's good. Should we do the questions and then the retro?
Yeah, let's do that. All right. So from Billy Thompson, first question: I like to run my test from the IDE because keyboard shortcuts. Is there a way to make it work with my IDE rather than in the terminal? That's a really good question.
It is a really good question. So I don't know about, have you done it at all in VS Code?
So I've been working in VS Code this whole time, and I don't think VS Code has that ability unless you set up a run and debug. So I'm not too familiar because I haven't used run and debug very often in my VS Code. In my usage of VS Code, I'm very much like a manual. I like the command line just because it helps me reason through things. It's a lot less abstract.
Yeah.
So I'm probably not the best person to ask this, but
so
it's definitely something we can look into.
Yeah. So I've done TCR before and used. I'm an IntelliJ fan, and IntelliJ has a plugin called Limited Whip. And one of the features of Limited Whip is you can configure it to do TCR. And you just basically go into the settings, enable it, and then you can set what your commit message you want it to be. And you can even, I think actually you can set it up to commit and push. So yeah, so in IntelliJ, I definitely know there's the Limited Whip plugin.
Cool. Maybe we'll put a link to that in the description.
Yeah, we'll do that
afterwards. Okay. Hopefully that answers your question, Billy. Second question: what other ways have you found to increase the cost of moving in large steps? I'm not sure I understand that question.
No, if you want to say again.
What other ways have you found to increase the cost of moving in large steps?
Okay, I understand. So basically, this is like the cost of moving in large steps here is you lose quite a lot of code if you.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So, have you come across other ways of like doing that? I don't think I have. Be interested to look into that though. But yeah, I like the way that this does put cost on kind of jumping too far ahead.
Yeah, I mean, you could, like, the canonical example, I guess, is when you've let's say you've got a user story that you need to implement and it's absolutely massive, right?
Yeah.
And it takes you 2-3 weeks to implement it maybe, and then you get to the end and it's like, right, ta-da, I've done it, and then all the requirements have changed in the meantime, or the customer user decides that's not what they want. Like, yes, there's very real cost associated with that. This is sort of imagine this is the TCR is almost like that on a micro scale, right?
Yeah.
Because like, let's face it, if doing all that work, right, and then it's not actually got any value, is equivalent to just throwing all the code away, like we've been doing with TCR.
Yeah, true. Yeah,
generally, more often than not.
Yeah, and I suppose if you think about that, another point of that is another cost and pain point of that large amount of work.
Yeah,
and that large amount of time spent on something is also like merge conflicts. So
yeah, I hadn't even thought about that, but yeah, absolutely. God, yeah, the amount of pain that merge conflicts cause when you're not integrating like on a daily basis. It's huge.
Yeah. I don't miss merge conflicts.
Yeah. Next question. Do you think that there are any disadvantages to TCR? Does it cause any bad practices? So I think we kind of touched on this a little bit as we were going through, is some of it I remember one distinct one where we were like, hey, TCR is going to wipe our changes, so let's try and write a little bit of the logic, like the logic first before we write the assertion. And I think unless you're like, we obviously stopped ourselves from doing that, but unless you're really on the ball and committing to the process and accepting like, right, my code could be thrown away because of a silly mistake, to force yourself to not get into to not, right, I'll just write the code first and then the test, because then there's less likelihood of it wiping my code. So I think that's one of the bad practices it could cause if you're not vigilant.
Yes.
And it even tempted us today.
It did, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we take like a TDD practice quite seriously, and when we're doing our day-to-day work, so actually for it to trip us up, it's probably quite an easy thing to do.
Yeah, trip other people up as well.
Yeah,
because what you're doing is you're fighting against the you're trying to optimize against your code being deleted afterwards, right? Because it's like, oh, I have to rewrite it. But I think that's the lesson, right? Is that if that doesn't happen, then you're not learning the lesson of TCR.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. And I think this is probably an opposite thing, but one thing I've realized is actually we've taken a lot, like sometimes when I'm doing refactoring, I'll take much bigger jumps and then run the test, whereas actually like we've done tiny jumps in our refactoring, like and that's really good. It's forced us actually to improve that practice.
Yeah, no, definitely. I kind of almost want to like a you can have like a watch window when it like reruns your tests every time you make a code change, like almost get to that stage, right? Like actually run TCR on that. Obviously that wouldn't work because you have to jump between two files, but yeah. There's one more question. So you two are really good at programming. Thanks, Billy. What do you think makes someone become a good programmer? Do you answer this question first, Mark?
I'm just thinking. Have you got an answer?
So I've got two main ones, which I would say to this is just practice and experience. So like doing code katas like this, like we're doing today, is exactly that. And not being afraid to like ask Google questions, right? Like I would consider myself an expert in Python, but I still had to look up the like with PyTest raisits, right? Because I don't commit that to memory. So it's fine. It's like always be consulting documentation. But then the other thing is like what we were doing today is just breaking the problem down into like the smallest possible thing that you could do and taking it step by step. So think like we started out this kata today, like, right, we have to implement a whole RPG system, right? Like, oh, where do I even start? What do I need to think about? Just start at the beginning, right? Look at the first requirement. How do I implement that? And do it step by step. And of course, your code will evolve over time as it does, right? And that's also one of the benefits of doing TDD, right? You go back, you refactor. But I think that's really the big difference between like what makes good programmers is just being able to focus on the smallest problem at each time point, and then building building out slowly like that.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think that could the ability to, like, I don't know, be humble about yourself and go and like just like realize that actually Googling the answer is okay. Like, great. Like, I'm always doing that, and sometimes, like, you know, for the silliest things, like it's like, oh, I just can't remember the order of the parameters into this function and stuff like that. Like, all that's fine. That, like, memorizing all that stuff doesn't make you a good programmer. In a way, like, it makes you a bit faster, but actually, you know, being able to go, oh, I don't know what it is, go and look it up. And yeah, practicing is a really, like, key part of it. I think, like, if you want to learn TDD, then practicing code katas is really good. I think one of the things also I found is in my practice time and my training time, like, I try to work, like, I would, like, so when I moved over to I was doing some stuff in, like, Android, and I was pairing with an Android developer. So I was learning a lot about kind of how a very small section worked. But actually what I needed to do to get my head around it was actually go and create something from scratch myself. So I think that's also, like, so, like, you know, you can, like, we're doing some great Python here, or we're doing some great, you know, something in something, but sometimes I feel like I need to really get down to the, like, the real nuts and bolts before I understand it properly. That's one thing I find with my practice is I have to go, like, I might be working with someone on, like, a node project or something I haven't worked on before, say, I don't know, a Kotlin API, as we did Kotlin last time. Like, and I can do the work and understand it and have those conversations, but sometimes I want that deeper understanding of how it works.
Yep.
So, yeah.
I think I fully agree. And actually, as you were saying that, I was thinking, like, so you know, don't reinvent the wheel. So, like, definitely use Google, look at like, use things that other people have made, right? Like, but then also reinvent the wheel, right? Because that helps the understanding. Like, that's the thing that really helps understand the core fundamentals of being a better programmer.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. It kind of comes back to, you know, there's that thing of, you know, no one needs to create their own. We don't need another MVC framework. Like, you don't need to, but creating one and never releasing it to the world is actually a great thing. You'll learn those.
Yeah, 100%, exactly. So that's all the questions that we've had today. Thank you, viewers, for those who tuned in to watch this TCR episode. This has actually been quite fun for me, actually. I really enjoyed it. Yeah. I really enjoyed it too. Oh yeah, should we do a quick little retro?
Yeah, I think I added in the README. I created, like, a little retro template, I think.
Yeah, here we go. Okay. So, should we do a quick 2 minutes here? Just good, bad, ugly. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm also noticing, actually, because I've got the stream open in YouTube, the quality is really bad. Yeah, like, it's very blurry.
Okay.
I don't know if that's a Zoom thing or I don't know how we can change that, or if we might have to move over to doing OBS instead.
We could do some more effort.
Yeah.
I mean, we're up to episode 6. Feels like we should be improving, like, working on improving our streaming technology as well now.
The production quality. I'll call it stream quality. Okay. All right, let's go through then. So I've put the two in the good. So like, yeah, this really forces you to work in tiny steps. And it, yeah, definitely helps you break the problem down to its like most minuscule components.
Yeah,
which is a good thing, right? It's a good thing.
It was really good.
Sure.
Yeah. And I was teaching TDD a couple of weeks ago, and actually we were talking about that tiny steps and running. And as I was saying, you should run the test as it's going to fail and compilation failures are included. I said, I think I never do this. And actually it was really good to actually kind of be forced into doing it. So make those tiny steps.
Yeah. I also actually found it quite exciting. Like I could feel my heart rate raising just before I was about to press enter on the TCR. I was like, is it going to pass or is it not? I genuinely didn't know. And sometimes I was actually surprised when it didn't. And it was typically because of syntax errors.
Yeah. I didn't add anything to good because I agreed with both of them. I didn't think I had anything else to add. Yeah. And there was that little flutter in the chest of like, oh, is it going to pass? It actually matters because what I added is going to get deleted. Yeah.
I feel like it makes you a lot more invested into the code as well, right? Yeah. Moving on to the bad. So you wrote here writing logic before the assertion.
Yeah. Basically not TDD.
Yeah.
We only did it once, and we corrected ourselves quite quickly. But I think it's something, like given that we wanted to demonstrate like test-driven things, the fact that we did it was, and we didn't catch ourselves was interesting.
Well, but we did catch ourselves, didn't we? And I think that was probably an important lesson to learn, especially for like, let's say people watching, like how easy it can be to accidentally get into that mode, but then you have to actively fight against it.
Yeah.
So I think that's good. And then I wrote here, maybe this is probably should go into the ugly instead, but the stream quality is low, so we need to look at figuring out what better tool to use. So OBS or something.
Yeah. Let's take that in as an action now.
Yes. For future reference. And actually with OBS, we can be a lot more flexible in terms of what we share. So you can have multiple windows and
now ourselves in round windows and all sorts.
Yeah, exactly. And then I put here, so the ugly syntax errors will wipe your code. Maybe this should actually go in bad, but yeah, if making an error in syntax, like missing a colon or something like that, when you run your TCR will also wipe your code, which is not ideal, right? Because you as a programmer shouldn't be focusing, like syntax errors shouldn't be a problem, right? People make typos and mistakes all the time, and that just comes with programming, right? And so I feel like this is definitely one of the downsides of TCR, is that it really highlights that. So like if you're a poor typer or potentially you have dyslexia or something like that, then this might not be a good thing to do, because you have a lot higher risk of like a silly inconsequential thing wiping your code, where like the logic was sound, but you mistyped something.
And I found myself copying and pasting just to make sure I didn't typo and stuff like that. I wonder also if that's something where like TCRing on your own is probably not as fun as doing it in a pair, because you've got that, you've got that extra set of eyes that can pick up the typos. And also like you had the problem where your syntax highlighting was all skewed. So that missing semicolon and stuff would have probably been highlighted to you. So maybe it's that thing of you were a bit kind of battling your tooling in one case. And also maybe the navigator needs to be more switched on. Like when you had do you know how you put the expected health into the function call? That's something I should have probably picked up as the navigator at that point.
Yeah. Whereas if you weren't doing TCR and just running your tests, like you would have spotted that immediately, and you would have been able to just be like, oh, yeah, little syntax error, and not
Yeah.
go all the way back to revert.
Yeah.
Your next one, only a pair.
Yeah, I suppose we advertise it as a mobbing thing, and I think this is nothing on you, Ben. It's been lovely pairing with you. I think the more people we have involved, the more the more you learn. It's difference of opinions, differences of knowledge, and stuff like that. The more people you get more of a conversation about things. Actually, then also we have really generally cracked on with the implementation and had less conversation. So maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that's something that the viewers can give us some feedback on. And then my other one was summer holidays interruptions. I had 2 visits from my children, which is fine.
I think that's fine. That's all right.
Next time I'll actually bring them in and they can write some code.
That would be cute.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Well, yeah, thank you viewers for tuning in. Hope this has been useful. I had a great time. Thank you for joining, Mark. We'll see you next week.
Cool. See you next week. So streaming dead.
I